I want to introduce Pollyanna Bush to you, who is doing our music this morning. Pollyanna has been with us a few different times, both online and live, when we were back at the community center. She is an award-winning singer-songwriter, recording artist, music educator, and spiritual leader. She's supported and shaped artistic and healing paths of many, many musicians, creators, communities for more than 35 years. And her mission is to encourage and inspire people to use the sacred act of singing and music making as an expression of love, emotional healing, and transformation. So if you want to go to pollyannabush.com, you can find out more. But we do have back on the information table, the welcome table back there.
Actually, it's on the food table now.
It's on the food table?
It's on the food table.
It's on the food table. There are some postcards out there that talk about her vocal training she does for people and other kinds of information. So you can pick these up out there. And the information table, of course, is there with all the info in case you want that for other reasons. But I want to really welcome Pollyanna this morning, so let's give her a hand. All right, and I'm trying to, what I did this morning was I started our pre-show slides kind of late, and they're on an automatic timer on the computer back there. And so unless I go back and fiddle with them back there, I can't actually make them stop until I get to the beginning of the service. And so this is called vamping until ready, but it's only a couple more slides. So let's do this. Because this morning I just didn't want to wait and skip the slides. You know how that is? So let's, Paula, let's go ahead and close the door to the outside so that it's not, we don't hear the street noise while we're beginning, because that's often what happens. And good morning. And welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Mary Marie Shelton. I am the community spiritual leader here, and I am so delighted that you're here this morning. Let's just take a moment to get ourselves grounded right now. Just take a deep breath into that as we prepare to celebrate our morning. And guess what's coming this week is Thanksgiving. So we're going to be celebrating that with the wonderful altar that Karen Frost did for us this morning, Karen and Randy. And but we're actually going to do more Thanksgiving next Sunday too, because why not? So for now, I want to invite you to stand for the opening song, and Pollyanna will be leading us through it. And I want to remind you that after the first verse, we're going to pause so you can all run around and say good morning to each other. So you'll hear the music. When Pollyanna begins to sing again, that's your cue to go back to your chair. I know you've been ignoring that, but that is the cue to go back to your chair, so I'm going to invite you to do that. So please join us right now in the opening song.
Okay, so on the chorus part we sing together, and the verse part is a call and response. Just heads up. So, 1, 2, 3. I celebrate today, I celebrate my journey. Today I celebrate today, I celebrate my journey. Today I celebrate. Sing it out nice and loud. I celebrate today, I celebrate my journey. Today I celebrate. One more time. I celebrate today, I celebrate my journey. Today I celebrate. Repeat after me. I walk in gratitude, I walk in gratitude for all life's blessings and all that I've been through has made me strong. Okay, mix and mingle, y'all. Come on, say hello. Okay, y'all, it's time
Come
to come
on
back
back.
and sing. Come on back, y'all. Here we go. I celebrate today. I celebrate my journey. Come on back. I celebrate 3 more times. Come on.
I celebrate
today. I celebrate my journey. I celebrate today. One more time. I celebrate today. I celebrate my journey. Today I celebrate. I walk in love. I walk in love. I walk in love. With every step. With every step. I feel that love. I feel that love. In every breath. In every sing it, shout it out. Come on. I celebrate today. Big clap. I celebrate my journey. Today I celebrate. I celebrate today. I celebrate my journey. Today I celebrate. I celebrate today. I celebrate my journey. Today I celebrate. Celebrate today. I celebrate my journey. Today I celebrate. Today I celebrate. One more time. Today I celebrate.
Woo! All right, give yourselves a hand. Very nice. Yes. So I invite you now to go ahead and silence your cell phone so that it won't go off during the service. You don't have to turn it off all the way, but just silence it for now. And prepare for the meditation song and the opening prayer, which are going to be done this morning by Greer. So close your eyes and just go within together right now. And you out there online, do the very same thing, okay? Here we go.
Take a breath. Come to this moment. Take a breath. Come to this moment. Take a breath. Breathe out. Come into this moment. Take a breath, breathe out into this moment. Take a breath, breathe out, come to this moment. Take a breath, breathe out. Take a breath, breathe out into this moment. Take a breath, breathe out into this moment, this precious moment. Take a breath, breathe out to this moment. Breathe out. Take a breath. Breathe out to this moment.
And in this moment, this one precious moment, I turn my attention to that infinite presence, that one infinite life, that one consciousness that has no boundary, no borders, no limitations, and from which every aspect of life is born. All of life that I see, touch, feel, know, and experience comes from this one source that I call God. And in its infinite givingness, it expresses in infinite ways, unbound, limitless, forever and ever unfolding and becoming more of itself through all of its expressions. And as I speak this word for myself as an individual, I know it is the truth of each and every one of us. Each one, each form, each life, an expression of the divine. And as it continues to pour itself forth into each one of its expressions from this infinite givingness of love, I claim and accept and know for each one of us that there is an unbound truth to each life. Each one of us, as a part of that divine nature that is limitless, that is whole, that is perfect, complete, prosperous, joyful, connected. We are all that. Each one of us a part of the divine, this one whole. And so knowing that this is the truth of each individual and each expression, this community, this joyful day, this beautiful music, the infinite intelligence speaking through Reverend Mary and through all of the individuals here, I just know that it is all God, and it all comes from love. And so I simply open to the shift in consciousness that allows for us to release things that don't seem to align with that. And we make room for more love, for more joy, more prosperity, abundance to come in and to be expressed through us, as our lives. And so I give thanks for knowing that this word, spoken into the law, demonstrates. It is made manifest at the level of consciousness of each one and in each life, including the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. So I give thanks for this. I give thanks for this day. I give thanks for the demonstrations already made in the mind of God. And I release this now. Let it go. Let it be done. And so it is.
What is the future, the life you're creating out of that prayer? Let's together create in our hearts what we are envisioning, this amazing life that we have. My dear one, will you open your eyes, look out upon the world and see a new sunrise? Those thoughts pounding in your head, just a broken recording, time to think new thoughts instead. And the sound that you hear is your soul beckoning you to awaken from this dream. Drop the cloak from your past, cross the river with me to a new destiny, and walk into your future, your beautiful creation. Walk into your future, with arms wide. Come alive.
do you want to be when you open your eyes? You can be the hero of your own life. Who you are is beyond space and time. Luscious, beautiful, eternal, sublime. And the sound that you hear is your soul beckoning you to awaken from this dream. Drop the cloak from your past. Cross the river with me to a new destiny. Walk into your future, your beautiful creation. Walk into your future, with arms wide. Come alive. The sound that you hear is your soul beckoning you to awaken from this dream. Drop the cloak from your past. Cross the river with me to a new destiny. Yeah. And walk into your future. Your beautiful creation. Into your future with arms wide. Come alive, come alive. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Pollyanna. Well, we're alive now. Good morning. Nice to be wide awake and here. So we are continuing with the annual theme, which is timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision. And now that the Giving Intention program is complete for this year, we're finishing up November with the theme that goes along with what Centers for Spiritual Living has been doing all along, which for the month of November is breathe in the view. Breathe in the view. Like, take a moment and breathe in the view. Here's the thing. The moment of now is the only point of power that we have. Now, if the presence of God is not limited by time or space, then there's an element of us that is liberated from the limitations of time and space, but not from the personality point of view. So in order for us to breathe in the view and actually just take a moment to be happy instead of striving to become happy, or to recognize who we are rather than spending so much time trying to get enlightened or wake up or thinking we need to do more or grow. Not that it isn't great to do classes and service and study and prayer and all of the stuff that we do, but when we're doing it to strive to become, we forget to take a moment to breathe in who we are. And what we're really trying to become is aware of who we really are, because we're already that. It's just that our human awareness needs to catch up with the reality of the beingness. Are you with me here so far? Oh, yeah. Yeah? Okay. So today, we want to talk about celebrating the triumphant journey. So last week, we did some celebration of the completion of the giving program, the 8-week giving program. But what I want to talk about today is celebrating the journey. A lot of times, we're very good at celebrating the destination. Okay, I've accomplished this. I've won that. I've made it in some way. But what about all the little everyday things that we have done or experienced that allow us to be aware of who we are in the moment? So sometimes we like to couch things in a particular way in order to make things look safer or better than they might otherwise appear to be. So have you ever had a situation where you told a white lie in order to prevent something from happening that you didn't know would happen, but it might happen, you didn't want a bad thing to happen, so you kind of told a white lie in order to keep it from... Does this make sense at all? Has anybody ever done that? This is that story. So we're dressed and ready to go out for the New Year's Eve party. We left a few lights on in the house, covered the parakeet in his cage, put our cat in the backyard, and then we phoned Lyft and requested a ride. And when our Lyft arrived, we opened the front door to leave the house, and our cat scooted back inside. Now, we didn't want to leave her in the house because she's always trying to eat the bird. So while my wife went out to the car, this guy says, I went back inside to get the cat and take her back out. And my wife didn't want the driver to know that the house was going to be empty that night. So she told him I would be right out. He's just going upstairs to say goodnight to my mother, she said. A few minutes later, I came out to get into the car, still annoyed with our cat. Sorry I took so long, I said to my wife as we pulled away. That darned old girl was hiding under the bed. I had to poke her with a coat hanger to get her to come out. She tried to slip around me, but I managed to grab her by the neck, and then I had to wrap her in a blanket to keep her from scratching me, but it worked. I got her downstairs and tossed her out into the backyard. Our Lyft driver drove off the road and knocked down the neighbor's mailbox. So, sometimes when we aren't grounded in the safety and security and truth of who we are and who other people are, we try to set up the universe in order to make things go a certain way or protect ourselves. And in the process of that, we get all tangled up in the worry of the moment, and we forget the larger truth of the wholeness that we all emerge from. Does this make sense? So getting the cat out of the house sometimes is a distraction from letting ourselves actually celebrate the moment that we're in. Now, we do a lot of celebrating as human beings, but we do it at very specific times. So we let ourselves celebrate obvious big wins. You get a promotion at work, you get engaged, you have a baby, you get married, you start a new job or new business, big holidays, birthday parties, babies' births, anniversaries, weddings, recovery from a life-threatening illness. You might celebrate that. Retirement, or certain birthdays get celebrated more when people reach old age. Every year becomes a big deal because they're still around, yeah? But what we forget to celebrate is our everyday successes, our everyday little moments of success. So Barbara Hoffman said, stop worrying about the potholes in the road and celebrate the journey. There are statistics somewhere or other now that demonstrate to us that planning or preparing or being, in the midst of the journey is actually as or more revealing and rewarding than the actual destination or the actual thing when it happens. The anticipation is so much fun that is the big part of the juice that we get out of it. So, but we forget to celebrate the planning process. We get focused on the destination. Does this make sense? Do you ever find that you do that? In the midst of a project, when you don't know how it's going to go yet, do you stop and celebrate the small successes? Maybe you do, but I think that most of us don't. We get tangled up in the other stuff. Now, I want to give you a biblical reference for celebrating, because Jesus was into parties. Now, we have evidence that he was into parties. He was having a meal with Levi, and he got criticized for it because the dinner, people like to follow him around, so they all came in for dinner. And there were women of the night, there were tax collectors, there were other kinds of sinners there, and they were having this wonderful feast. And so they criticized him for eating with sinners and tax collectors, and what else is he going to do? His mother, when they went to the wedding feast at Cana, they ran out of wine. Now, he's there with his buddies. He's not doing any miracles or anything yet. She comes to him and she says, they're out of wine. He says, woman, what does this have to do with me? My time has not yet come. She doesn't say another word to him. She goes over to the wine steward. He can hear her, of course. She's a Jewish mother. She makes sure he can hear her. She goes over to the wine steward and she says, do whatever he tells you. So what is he going to do? He's at a wedding feast, right? So rather than let the host be embarrassed by running out of wine, not only does he turn the water into wine, he turns it into better wine than what they were serving before. He doesn't close the party down by refusing to do something. He actually amps it up. Jesus was into parties. So what that tells us is celebrating is important. In the Old Testament, we know that the Jews are told to celebrate all kinds of stuff. They're told to celebrate all sorts of regular feasts, but also special big feasts that show up at different times during the year. So this is part of the tradition of celebration. We're invited to do more than just think about the significant events, but to turn it into something else. So the question then becomes, well, how do we celebrate? So we tend to, because we celebrate big things, we tend to celebrate with gatherings and parties and food and drink and with pronouncements and with certificates and awards and things like that. And those are big celebrations. We know that, in the recent years, since maybe the 1970s or so, a certain amount of the population has been annoyed that kids get rewarded at games and they all win something for participation. It's like, well, how are they going to learn to compete properly? How are they going to learn to deal with losses and frustrations if they get rewarded just because they showed up? No, I think we should celebrate that we showed up. We should celebrate that we remembered to breathe, that we took a deep breath, that we remembered to relax or do a prayer or an affirmation before going into a difficult conversation. We should celebrate the small moments of success, because you know what that does? It builds up our sense of confidence in ourselves and trust in the creative law. Some of the best coaches in the world sit down with their teams after a game, and they don't go over all the mistakes. They show them all of the things they did right, and they point it out to them, and they analyze what they did, and they reinforce that, so that the next time they go back, they have this grounded sense, we can do this. Not, we're just so crummy, we can't possibly make it, but we're going to amp up, we're going to do it this time, we're going to finally win. No, they focus on what they did right, and they make that stronger. Some of the advice to athletes is, don't spend all your time practicing to try and improve the stuff you don't do well. There are other people on your team who do that kind of stuff. Practice what you're an expert at so that you get to be so masterful at it that nobody is better than you. Practice that. But in order to do that, you have to know that you're good at something. How do you find that out? It's by paying attention and celebrating the small moments every day. Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who is a spiritual teacher, says celebration happens when the mind unites with the spirit. The spirit is that place of passion in us. So when the mind is supported by that passion, and the mind is supportive of that passion because it's emphasizing the good, the positive, the rewards, the successes, then we begin to feel alive and confident and have more faith in the creative law and in our own inspiration and in ourselves. Teilhard de Chardin said, joy is an infallible sign of the presence of God. Joy is an infallible sign of the presence of God. Now, when I was a little kid, I can remember feeling joyful for no reason at all some moments. It would just bubble up inside me, and I would appreciate it. I would enjoy it. I didn't question why it was there, or had I earned it, or did I deserve this somehow. It just came, and I went with it. And I think that's what little kids do. I mean, can't you remember being joyful for no reason at all? Just because you heard kids outside playing and you were going to go play with them. Or there was something for dessert you really liked. It didn't have to be a big deal. It was a moment-by-moment celebration of life. We tend to think as adults that the only things we can celebrate are things that really deserve it. Things that are worthwhile, that are big wins or big celebrations. The problem with that is that certain things get overlooked. Now, my son is 41 years old, but when he was in high school, he ran cross country and track in Orange County, California. And they had some ringers on their team who were really, really fantastic runners. Luke was loyal. He showed up. He loved being on cross country and track, but he's the giant one at the end over there. That big, tall, skinny kid, he wasn't fast. But he was there. He was like an uplift energetically and emotionally with enthusiasm, with the team, not one of the speedy ones. So at this particular race, which was at Mount Sac, there had been a lot of rain, and Mount Sac went through the hills and dales. I don't know if you know about cross country. Only insane people run cross country. You know, no one with a brain would want to do this. But these boys had a great time. They run these long distances, and they understood that they had to pace themselves. It was not a sprint. They had to have enough energy left at the end to really kick it, to get across the finish line and try and speed up at the end. But the day of this Mount Sac race, there had been rain. There had been mudslides. So the route was rearranged, so part of it went through town. And they had blocked off certain roads and stuff, and the boys had to find their way through all that. And we're at the stadium, because who knows when they're going to go by you, So we're at the stadium waiting. And these kids are coming in. And they're coming in. No Luke. And they're coming in. No Luke. And they're coming in. There's a long pause. Finally, here he comes. The last kid. Mine. And I'm thinking, this is going to be hard on him, that he came in at the end. And you know what he did? He came up to me and he said, Mom, I PR'd by 1 second. That means he beat his own personal record by 1 second. Now, I'm sure inside he was feeling rough that had happened. He said as he went through town, they were even taking down some of the roadblocks as he was coming by. But he didn't quit, which really impressed me. He could have stopped and wandered in some other way. He didn't do it. He finished the race, and then he congratulated himself for his own personal success. That was a long time ago, but it still gets me. I'm still so moved by the integrity of that choice for a kid who was only 17 years old to say, I'm in this for the team and to come through. What gets overlooked sometimes is what is not an unqualified win, what doesn't seem to be a big enough success to merit celebrating. When we don't pay attention to our own incremental growth and improvements and acknowledge it just because we haven't reached the destination yet. It is progress we want to celebrate, not just the accomplishment. It's our everyday successes. It's the journey itself that we want to be able to celebrate. George Leonard wrote a book called Mastery. This actually comes from a different book of his, but I love everything that he's written. And I believe George Leonard is the one who coined the term the personal growth movement, actually, back in the 60s or 70s. He wrote this in The Silent Pulse. We might say that the universe is so constituted as to maximize play. The best games are not those in which all goes smoothly and steadily toward a certain conclusion, but those in which the outcome is in doubt. Similarly, the geometry of life is designed to keep us at the point of maximum tension between certainty and uncertainty, order and chaos. Every important call is a close one. We survive and evolve by the skin of our teeth. We really wouldn't want it any other way. And I thought about that. The first time I came across that quote, I thought about it from the perspective of, why do I play games like board games or sports? Why do I play those? I like to engage in the process. If I knew, personally, if I knew without a doubt that any game I engaged in, I was absolutely going to win, if I knew that any team I ever rooted for, my team was always going to win, if I knew that, I wouldn't do it anymore. It would be boring. And I don't know about you, but there's something about that uncertainty. Why do we go and bet on horse races? Or, maybe nobody does that, but I haven't done it in a long time, but I have done it. Why do we do that? Because we don't know what's going to happen, but we want to chance it. There's something in the risk that actually impels or compels or pulls us magnetically. Would you agree? Does this happen to any of you? Yes? So what I want to introduce is a new celebration paradigm, a new paradigm for celebration in our lives. I made a great cup of coffee, or I bought a great cup of coffee. Isn't that a reason to be celebrational? Haven't you all had lousy cups of coffee? Isn't it great to celebrate, if you drink coffee, having a good cup of coffee? And we can look for reasons. We can intend to find at least one thing in our lives in this day to celebrate. Now, here's one. You showed up. Congratulations. You made it to the room. You're here. That's a win. That's enough of a win for today. Did you brush your teeth this morning? There's another one. So, attune to small wins. A good cup of coffee. It's a beautiful day. You finished a reading assignment. You did your meditation this morning. You improved a little bit in a skill. Maybe you're better at golf. Maybe you had more patience with your kids or grandkids. Maybe there was a moment where you took an extra deep breath. Don't let those moments pass by. Now, I'm as guilty as anybody else. So part of this is to remind myself of how important it is for us to be able to make these celebrations in our lives and take advantage of them. Sebastian Thrun, who's a German scientist, said, it's important to celebrate your failures as much as your successes. If you celebrate your failures really well, and if you get to the place where you can say, wow, I failed, I tried, I was wrong, I learned something, then you realize you have no fear. And when your fear goes away, you can move the world. Krishnamurti said, the moment you have in your heart this extraordinary thing called love and feel the depth, the delight, the ecstasy of it, you will discover that for you, the world is transformed. Now, love can be applied to our failures as well as our minute little successes. Did something happen? Did you drop a glass? And instead of being annoyed and frustrated with yourself, you took a moment to just go, oh, well, it went the way of glasses. Oh, well, clean it up, go on. That's a success. And our founder, Ernest Holmes, said in this thing called life, we must learn to live by inspiration. That means that we should let the spiritual depth of our being flow through our conversation and into our acts. Living by inspiration does not mean living chaotically. Our whole purpose is to make the intellect an instrument for spirit. We must become artists in living. And to do this, to live by inspiration, means to sense the divine touch in everything, to enter into the spirit of things, to enter into the joy of living. To enter into the joy of living. You know, as he points out, the idea is to make the intellect the servant of the spirit, rather than let the intellect lead the way. Because the truth is, spirit kind of knows stuff that the intellect has not figured out yet. It hasn't copped to that yet. But there is, when we step outside of the idea that we are bound by time and space, when we step outside of identification with the body or age or circumstances of our lives, and we step into the breath, into that energetic, vibrant place of wholeness, that's a place where we're not bounded by time or space. And that's the place we create from, not from conditions and circumstances and prerequisites and contingencies, but rather from the unbounded possibilities. When we are in that realm, we can become an attractive force for what we want to bring more of into our lives. When we try to figure it out and do it from the intellect or the brain, we are limited by what we already know. Now, I got to tell you, the spirit knows a lot of stuff. The brain has a capacity. You ever forgotten anything? And then tomorrow you remember it, right? Do you know that entire time from the moment you couldn't remember it until tomorrow, your brain has been on search mode. God, it's in here somewhere. I know I filed it someplace. Where did it go? Where is it? But if it's in there, it sort of shows up, it pops up, sometimes in the middle of a conversation with somebody else. I will suddenly say, Steve Bannon, and everybody will go, what? What does that have to do with anything? Because it was something I was trying to remember the day before. Can anybody relate to this? So what we want to do is not let the intellect be the one always leading. It needs to be the one supporting. Ernest Holmes said that the mind, the human mind, the conscious mind, is not the creative part of us. It only has two jobs. One job is to choose what we want to focus on, which is what we want to experience or bring more of into our lives. So one job of the intellect is to choose, because the subconscious doesn't choose. The conscious mind chooses, and then it uses our attention, our intention, our will to keep our focus there on what we've chosen. Then the subconscious does all the work. It goes, oh, I get it. This is what we're doing. Okay, full steam ahead. When our minds are all over the place like this, the subconscious is going, okay, no. Oh, over here. No, that's not it. Over there. Wait, I'm confused. Now I'm contradicting everything I've already created. So it's like digging up the seed. Every time the intellect wants to know, is it happening? We dig up the seed. Oh, no roots yet. Stick it back in the ground. The plant is going, okay. I was busy a while ago. Now I can't remember what I was doing. So we're trying to create something that the mind is constantly digging up and getting in the way of. When we step into this other place, it is a little unnerving, because we dwell in this place that's called a comfort zone for a reason. Inside of it is the known, right? Inside of the comfort zone, the reason it's a comfort zone is because inside of it is the known. In order to create something new, we have to go outside of it. We can't create anything new from inside the known, because if we already had the capacity to create that, it would be in the known already with us. But since it isn't there and we want to create it, that means we got to get uncomfortable. That means we have to step out into the danger zone, into the place where we don't know how, and take a risk. But that's the juicy place. That's where we get to celebrate, I stepped out into the unknown, and I am freaked out, but I'm out here. This is good. This is good. And I'm going to hang out here and do what I can until I have to dash back inside and take a breath. But I'm not going to build a condo inside the known, because what I'm here for is not to do what I already did. I'm not here to do a rerun. Reverend Mary Mannon Morrissey says, some people live 98 years. Some people live 1 year 98 times. Which do we want to be? So, in that, I want to invite you to do something this week to acknowledge your own progress. Do something this week to acknowledge a small success or even a failure as a win, and discover what came from that you can put to use. Choose each day one thing to celebrate. One thing to celebrate. And then, if you can use that as an encouragement, let it encourage you to sneak out into the unknown just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. So now I want to invite you to stand and join me for the morning affirmation. All right? Okay. Now take a look at that, because we're going to claim it in just a second. So take a breath, and let's say this. I savor the journey as it continues to unfold in deeper and fuller peace, contentment, and inspiration. I choose to be an optimistic presence of gratitude in the world. And before you sit down, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and take another deep breath and feel those feet resting on the floor. And know that just as a physical being, you're a manifestation of the earth, so as a spiritual being, you're a manifestation of the divine. And right here, right now, we are each of us a marriage of heaven and earth. We are a unique creation in the world, here to create anew. The universe, the creative law, God itself, is creating more of itself by means of us. We are the vehicle to assist the infinite in bringing forth more of itself into the world. So this week, we align with that in love. We let it lead us forward into our little celebrations of joy, into our small successes, into our failures with appreciation, into the unknown, where wonderful things are waiting to come into the world by means of us. We claim this, we stand in our groundedness in it, and we step out in complete confidence and faith, in inspiration and love, that we are in the right place right here, right now. We couldn't be anywhere else, and this is good. This is good, and it is good that we are this combination of heaven and earth. So we claim it, we own it, we love it, we bless it, and we allow the transformation to just rock and roll. We let this word go into the law and into the heart of God, where it has always been the truth of us. We let it go, we let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Yes. You may be seated. So as we shift gears into our offering time, I want to remind you that if you'd like to text to make a donation, all the information for that is on the screen. There's the number, the directions, all of that. Just go ahead and text to that number and it'll take care of it for you. But we are going to receive our offering in the room. So I want to invite the ushers to come forward. And let me remind you too that last week we did our sacred giving intentions for 2022 for Golden Gate. And if you were here last week, you probably filled out one of these and turned it in. If you have not had an opportunity to do that, there are a couple of ways to do that, and I'll tell you about it in just a minute. So you can still do that giving intention for 2022. But right now, we're going to bless what's being given right here, right now, in this room. And also, every way in which we have given or received as Golden Gate and as individuals this week by saying this together. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. Pollyanna, take it away.
Touchstone, where the breath meets the bone. Touchstone, where your hand meets my own, meets my own. I pray, I live to light, to give you a feeling that calls you home, and you'll find in me a touchstone, touchstone. How your smile can melt the soul. Touchstone, ancient word gems, sacred ore. sacred home. I pray, I live tonight to give you a feeling that calls you home, and you'll find in me a touchstone. Thank you.
Well, I could have listened to that song go on and on. Yeah. So let's all of us, as one congregation now, turn our hearts to accepting this offering that's been given with great gratitude, sending it out into the world to be a transformative force everywhere that it goes, because it has been given and blessed right here in this room. We send it out to be a blessing, and so it is.
And so it is.
All right. I want to just say, if you did not receive any of the little goodie gifts during the giving program, the 8-week giving program, we have every one of them still available. So we want to make sure that if you want any of the little goodies, you can get them. And the ushers will let you know how to do that. Also, the bookmarks that were here for us last week, these have all of the affirmations from the entire program on them. So if you didn't get, they're on the table in the lobby. If you didn't get one of these last week, make sure you pick one up. And 2, if you asked for the production planner booklets, if you missed any of those weeks, we have extras of those. Also, Paula keeps gesturing me out to the lobby table. They're on the lobby table out there. If you are a first-time guest today, welcome. We're delighted that you're here with us. You'll find welcome packets. Galen is holding up the welcome packet at the back with the blue card that's inside. It says welcome. Fill that out and give it to her, and she will give you a little book, as that is our gift, and thank you for being here today. We would love to have you with us more in the future, so we hope that you'll take advantage of that and come back and see us again the next time you have an opportunity. Like next week would be good. These are all of the folks that came in this morning and helped make sure that we had a wonderful morning. The beautiful Thanksgiving altar was done by Karen and Randy Frost. And really, you make sure that you come up here and see these velvet pumpkins. They're amazing. All different colors. They're velvet. They're just fabulous. They're beautiful. Now, there's not food up here for you to take today, but there is food, I think, in the lobby. There are actually snacks today for you. Now, I want to invite up Ellen Nicosia and Deborah Paul, because they want to tell you about the climate action workshop series that's coming up, because we as a community would like to get involved in being more conscious about global warming and how we're affecting the planet, because Marin County is one of the largest users of energy kind of around, actually. And so they're going to tell you a little bit more about that. Come on up here, you guys, because they won't see you online if you're not on the platform. So step up close here and stay close together, and I will try and follow you through this.
And I'm Deborah Irwin. This is Ellen Nicosia. We've been working with Arthur, who is here today too, to roll out this program with Resilient Neighborhoods Marin. So you do need to be a Marin resident to participate. As you can see, the Resilient Neighborhood Climate Action Workshop Series is really comprehensive, and it's been proven an effective program that inspires and educates us to reduce our carbon footprint. Who could do a little bit more of that? Yeah, good.
Can we go back to the last
Uh-huh.
slide? So how this thing works is you sign up and join a climate action team, and then you go to attend a Zoom meeting, 5 of them spread over 10 weeks, and between the meetings, you're using the guidance that you get in the meetings to develop your own plan for taking action. And then it talks about celebrating, so it fit right in with today. You celebrate your success at the end.
So this is a different slide. Okay.
Where do you want to be?
No, that's okay. We'll stay right there. So as you can see from the slide that Marin, we're really hogs as far as this is concerned. We are not doing a job of being resilient neighbors, are we? So there's a great opportunity here for not only us, but the greater community in Marin to participate and get more active. Anyway, that's about it for that slide. Do you have the next one, Mary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is a this is a picture that was taken at a rally for climate change in downtown San Rafael, and it's in the same area as this next slide where we have flooding. And at that time, that was 2009, they predicted that this would happen, and it has happened now. This is a picture from our last big storm that came through. So everything we do can change the direction for our future and our children's future and our grandchildren's future.
I took this class, I was trying to figure out what year, probably 2014, and I made some changes in my behavior and my family's behavior that we're still adhering to and that have made a difference in the use of energy. I swore off buying bottles of water, and I have not bought a bottle of water since that day. I signed up with Marin Clean Energy for the deep green, so all of my energy for the last few years has been from solar and wind power. I purchased a hybrid electric car, and I began seriously composting. And I was led through all those changes by the program, and it didn't feel hard.
So this program starts in January. It is on Zoom, and there are 2 different days of the week that are available. One is a Tuesday, and that Tuesday starts January 13th. And the times are, oh gosh, I didn't write that. 4 to 6:30, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then the second one starts on a Thursday. That's January 18th, and it goes from 6:30 to 8:30. So we're going to be in the back and willing to talk to you and give you more information. And there's also a way for you to sign up today if you want to join us and do that. And we hope you do. Let's make a change.
And so you might notice, too, that in this last slide, do you see Jay at the bottom? Jay Gustafson, he did this a couple of years ago, and that was his team that he was on. We will also be, after the first of the year, we're going to give you a little suggestion every single week of something that you might try that week to reduce your own carbon footprint and do something good for the earth. So these will be very doable little suggestions, but you can get a more in-depth sense of the difference you can make by participating in one of the resilient neighborhood groups. Marilyn is here today. Marilyn is going to be teaching Quick Start on December 5th at 12:30 online. Do you want to stand up and turn around, Marilyn, so they can see your face? Marilyn is one of our prayer practitioners. And there are sign-up sheets for Quick Start actually back at the table where Galen is. And so you can sign up back there and take a flyer if you're interested. It's a 1-hour workshop that's an intro to our philosophy, but also is a good review if you feel like you need one. And it said October 31st, but that's the wrong date because I picked an old slide. It's December 5th. So ignore the date. Just remember the event, okay? Now we're going to have a very special Yuletide celebration here in this room on December 23rd. Let's say 22nd. I think it's really December 20, whatever Wednesday is. I think it's really December 23rd. It is the 22nd. There you go. From 7 to 8:30, right here in this room. It's going to have music and chanting and food and stories and candle lighting and carols, and it'll be just wonderful. So come, bring your friends and family, bring your neighbors, drag people in off the street. It'll be worth coming to. Finally, I did want to say more about if you didn't get an opportunity to declare your giving intention, your goal for 2022 for Golden Gate. These forms are available back at the sign-in table. Paula has them back there, and they're in envelopes. So you can fill one out and put it in the envelope. You can either give it to Paula or you can mail it to the office, either way, if you like. And the other thing you can do is, if you want to do that online, if you go to our website and look under the donations tab in the menu, you'll see a drop-down menu, and you can select 2022 Giving Intention Form. You can do it all online. I know that is not very clear, but that's what it looks like when you go there. All right. And if you want prayer this morning, our practitioners are available for you immediately following the service. These are our professionals over here, and I want to point out to you that Selma has just received her practitioner emeritus recognition, which means she's been a licensed practitioner 20 years. 20 years. And Rachel DePaula, sitting next to her, is one of our newest practitioners, who has been a practitioner for a matter of months. And they are all brilliant prayers. Dana also has been a practitioner for many years. He's not quite emeritus yet, but he's getting there. And so if you have a prayer request today, go to the table. One of them will take you aside to a private spot where you can receive a prayer. But you can also put a request into the prayer box if you want to leave a written request, and we'll pray over that for a week with you. So I'm going to invite the practitioners to surround the room now for the benediction as we turn, our closing prayer, and then I'll invite you to stand for the benediction in just a moment. You can always recognize our practitioners because of the stoles. Anytime you see somebody wearing one of those white stoles, that's okay. That's a recognition that this person has gone through this very extensive training program to know how to do treatment for you and to know what to treat for when you come for prayer. So let's turn our attention within one more time. We come with gratitude for everything that's happened this morning, for the snacks we haven't yet had, for the conversations we haven't had a chance to engage in yet, and for all the people that have greeted us and whom we have greeted this morning. We anchor ourselves in the divine presence, knowing that every bit of it is God in action, and so are we. And we're grateful to know that throughout this week, this presence remains with us, as us, through us. We are never separate from it. It is never disappointed in us. It does not judge us. Instead, it surrounds us with loving encouragement, whispering in our ears to, yes, recognize that progress. Yes, take another step. Yes, trust that unknown for what it's going to reveal and bring to us. We are well prepared for this. For this we were made. And so we anchor ourselves with gratitude in this goodness. We throw open our minds and hearts to receive it even more deeply, and we let it flow through our week and through our day with peace and joy. With great gratitude, then, we celebrate this moment. We release it into the creative law, and we simply let it be, and together we declare, and so it is. Yes, yes. Please stand and join us now for the benediction and the closing song. All right. I now walk, so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness, for spirit and all people and I are one eternally, and so it is. And you know this last song that we're going to sing together, so here we go.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. let it shine, let it shine. For everyone I greet, I'm gonna let it shine, yeah, yeah. Everyone I greet, I'm gonna let it shine. With everyone I greet, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, come on, I'm gonna let it shine, yeah, yeah. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, 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 let it shine.